Today is September 2nd, 2015. My name is Deborah Ann Weber. My son's name is Samuel Weber Gustafson. I'm hoping to use this to chronicle all the hate crimes and war crimes and torture being done to me and my son. My son is still kidnapped. He's held hostage in California, and it's very difficult for me to focus or concentrate. I'm being hit with microwave weapons and other military weapons. I've been denied medical care. I've been tortured barbarically. They do MK Ultra, Monarch, Delta Beta torture, all sorts of MK Ultra programs. This is just hate crimes to the extreme. They pull mass murdering criminal sociopaths out of prison and they put them on victims. And they have a sound projector. They use it in advertising. It's a pulsed microwave audiogram, and they've revamped it a million times. The Marines use Medusa, and the Army uses V2K. And I guess DARPA has some sort of sound projector, even the State Department, and it's just done to commit war crimes against citizens, just innocent citizens. They take money from criminal sociopaths in other countries to torture citizens. It's just absolutely barbaric and insane. It's just completely sadistic and demented. And this is intentionally being done to me. It's about who I come from, and there's money connected to that. One is that my father was Adolf Weber. He was the son of Alfred Weber, the economist and sociologist, and his brother was Max Weber, the father of modern sociology, sociologist, JD, scholar, polyglot. My grandfather was a social liberal Democrat, and we were really public enemy number one to Hitler and the Nazis. All of that money was looted. Most of my family was murdered. Only my father and his brother survived, and they were forced to marry the relatives of female Nazis. But he had had an affair with my mother, who was married to his son, and out came me. And I got offered up as this sick, sadistic sacrifice to these weirdos. All this black ops, JSOC. It was all about putting enemies of the state in positions of power and authority, and the establishment knew they just didn't care. Anything for money and trying to make this perfect killing machine. But the torture has been barbaric. I've been denied medical care. I was intentionally made a national security witness. On my mother's side is the Rosado lineage, and that's connected to the Catholic Church. And I don't know how that money works. I think it's a nut of gold that gets offered to torture one from our line. We get killed by these cult freaks. People call them the skull and crossbones, the Masons obsessed with 33s and 2s. The Smiling Pope was a relative of my grandfather's. They murdered them on the same day, and they tried to kill me when I was 9 months pregnant. And they did murder on the same day my second cousin's pregnant fiance. She was 7 months pregnant. They crushed her to death with a boulder. We have to deal with this jackass agenda and a completely complicit and deranged government and military that makes its money by committing war crimes and human trafficking and just refuses to uphold the law. 1953 was Operation Paperclip. 1963, they had assassinated JFK. So I got offered up as a sacrifice because my older half brother, I believe, had involvement in the assassination of JFK. And then he had an affair and an illegitimate son. And they created this thing called StarWars, where they would prop up offspring of enemies of the state while destroying the best and brightest of us. And that's what's happened here in America. And like I said, the establishment knew they'll lie. and say they didn't, but they knew. They just didn't care. It was all about money, power, and control. So that's just a little brief introduction. The torture has been surreal. I was made a national security witness intentionally. A Bilderberg Project Artichoke nightmare was sent to me. And what they're doing to women in America, they're Stepfordizing women. They're actually using these covert military war weapons and neuro weapons. They're brain damaging people, they're brain damaging children. I mean, it's completely insane. And they're tricking women with these weapons and trying to match up like criminal sociopaths if they like a woman. Then they'll trap a woman with this weaponry. And sometimes they do it just for money. Sometimes they do it just to make their little army of evil. Um, just barbaric, sadistic, and deranged. And it's very hard to talk. I'm getting hit very hard with the weapons. They operate in the frequency of the brain. I get Medusa. There's a pulse microwave audiogram. The Nazis used it to torture Virginia Woolf in the late 20s, and they keep revamping it. And so every department of the military has these weapons to use against innocent people. They just use them against innocent Americans. They do it to destroy and torture children, barbarically torture women. The Marines have Medusa. The Army has V2K. The State Department, DARPA, everybody's got their own thing just to mercilessly torture innocent civilians. They use it to steal money, steal from bank accounts. I mean, it's just off the hook. And anyway, I was made a national security witness, and they did all these convoluted machinations. They sent a Bilderberg nephew to me. They sent Dianne Feinstein's illegitimate son, Dar Jamal, with Joe Dar Jamal, Lebanese terrorist and human trafficker. He's the real Tim Osmond. And they did all these manipulations and machinations, because I got offered up again. I thought that would only work once as a sacrifice for my older half brother's illegitimate son, so he could make made a stir and I would be destroyed. And in '94, when they sent my son's father, I didn't know who he was. I didn't know that he was the Dutch pilot. When I got pulled in a chat, I used to work with children that were involved in cults and gangs or radical religious sects. I didn't know that. I never met Dar. I didn't know. I didn't believe them. I only half suspected in the end. But anyway, they did this intentionally to do all this violence to me and my son. All these people that are in your government, like Mueller and Feinstein, even Joe Bruno's my mother's cousin. The Simmonses put him in government, and he ran quasi-legitimate furniture warehouses for the mob, so he had no business being in government. It's just a way to try to get at that money. And then when I was going to move to California, they put Nancy Pelosi, and that's a distant cousin of Bruno's. And I had never met her. They only put her in government just because I was moving out there. Needless to say, you see how I've been treated, and my son. When the Northeast FBI started to figure out that they had been had and that 9/11 was a complete false flag, and had asked me to provide more information, that's when they kicked it into gear to kidnap my son and just barbarically torture me. So it's almost 10 minutes. I'm going to leave it at that. This will be the first, hopefully, in a series that I can complete. It's impossible. It's incredibly difficult to try to focus. I'm going to have to leave where I'm at because I noticed the false flag prisoners from New York, they were flown out to Washington State, and then they were going after activists and witnesses there and doing false flags. And now I've noticed them here, and they'll violently increase the torture until I leave, and whatever false flag act they have planned, they will do. Hopefully I can make more of these. I just want to try and chronicle this. It's incredibly difficult to try and make a video with all of this torture. Thank you.